Okay, y'all, we need to talk about this. Diddy's legal team just dropped not one, but two letters at his sentencing hearing, the same expedited hearing they demanded to move up. And they did it like it was Black Friday at Target. Clearly, Mark Agnifilo, Diddy's defense attorney, is trying to lock in that sentencing schedule early. But the real question is, why the rush? What's the emergency? Is Diddy trying to preheat the oven before the judge even picks the temperature? Now, there's a letter dated July 8th, 2025, submitted to the judge that outlines what both sides have agreed on in terms of the timeline. Agnifilo wrote, "Your Honor, the parties have met and conferred and agreed to the following schedule for sentencing post-verdict motions and submission of offense conduct to the probation office." But here's the part that made my legal spidey senses tingle. The defense wants the probation office to provide a pre-sentence investigation report, PSR, by August 29th, over a month before the October 3rd sentencing date. That kind of urgency isn't normal. We need time to spin this PSR, like a DJ Khaled remix urgency. There's a clear strategy here, just like how Agnifilo rushed through Diddy's trial. Speeding up proceedings because when the facts aren't on your side, speed becomes your friend. The same logic applies now. When your client's name is trending next to sex trafficking, you need to control the narrative. Make no mistake, the Mann Act is a sex crime statute and often used when prosecutors can't secure sex trafficking charges. And since Diddy's name has been floating around with RICO, and worse, the PSR becomes a key battleground. That report outlines every bad thing a defendant has done, charged or uncharged. So, why does Diddy's team want it early? Not to read it, but to reframe it. If the PSR paints him as a man who ran a mini-empire of manipulation and mistreatment, the defense wants to counter that with their version of the fairy tale, the misunderstood mogul narrative, the tortured genius who builds schools in Zimbabwe with vodka bottles. They need time to contest the language, write a sob-story sentencing memo, and flood the court with character letters from assistants, nannies, and C-list friends on payroll. They're also trying to block any damaging edits from the government. The government, by the way, was furious about the loss, humiliated even, and while it was technically a loss for them, it may also be a sign the jury just didn't get it. That's my opinion. But back to that letter. The government's objections to the PSR are due by September 12th. The probation office then finalizes the PSR on September 18th. That gives prosecutors only 6 days to review and respond to whatever edits the defense tries to sneak in. It's a procedural trap. The defense is sprinting to get their version of events locked into the final PSR before the prosecution can inject details like witness tampering, obstruction, illegal firearms, or mention of ongoing investigations. Because once the final PSR is locked in, that's what the judge reads first, and it sets the tone before any sentencing memo from the prosecution even lands on the desk. And let's be honest, Diddy's team is spooked. This isn't the behavior of someone expecting a slap on the wrist. He's prepping like a man who knows a storm is coming. Their proposed timeline is tight. The defense wants to file their sentencing memo by September 19th, ensuring the judge sees their narrative first and gives it time to sink in. Meanwhile, the government asked to submit its summary of offense conduct by July 11th, and the defense didn't object because by then they'd already printed the sentencing programs and picked out the outfit. This isn't just legal maneuvering. It's full-on damage control. They're trying to contain the fallout before more victims come forward, before more evidence is unsealed, and before the media turns the sentencing hearing into a sequel to the trial. Let's not forget, this PSR doesn't just influence prison time. It also affects sentencing enhancements, restitution, financial penalties, appeal eligibility, and even reputational standing in other investigations, hello, California and New York State probes. So what Diddy's team is doing is shaping this PSR like a press release, not a criminal profile. That's why when you see them pushing for early deadlines and micromanaging court schedules, don't assume they're just efficient. Assume they're worried, very worried, because the PSR could ultimately define whether Diddy goes down in history as a music mogul or a federal case study in power and downfall. And here's the thing you'll really need to remember. The trial may be technically over, but the story, the consequences, and the impact are still unfolding, and we still have a say in how it ends. The courtroom doesn't stop at the judge's bench. It stretches into the streets, into headlines, and yes, into social media. Don't let Diddy's team spin this into some redemption arc. That's exactly what they're trying to do. Repackage his legacy in crocodile tears and Ciroc gloss. They want you to believe he's a misunderstood genius when the truth might be a lot darker. Don't let them drown out the victims with PR statements and envelopes of hush money. Because if we go quiet now, just because a jury said not guilty, we're telling every victim and whistleblower they were right to stay silent. Let me remind you, a juror allegedly discussed the case before deliberation even began, possibly violating the judge's instructions. That verdict? It didn't sound like justice. It sounded like a vibe, emotion over evidence. That's why the judge hasn't signed off on anything yet. There's tension in the air. So we need to stay loud, stay smart, and stay focused. Don't let them weaponize Black culture to protect a Black predator. Keep talking, keep posting, keep questioning, and keep dismantling the illusion. Because the trial might be over on paper, but in the court of public memory, it's just getting started. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. Do you think this rush-it-through strategy will work again? It did once, but we'll see. Talk to y'all later.